everybody, and welcome to Row 60, a Georgia football podcast. My name is Clark Gaines. Joining me today, as always, Adam Thorne.
Boom!
Good boom. Big
Always
boom.
big boom.
For a big week, Adam.
Big
this
game.
is episode number 65, and Georgia is prepping to go down the mass exodus.
The pilgrimage.
The pilgrimage, if you will, to Jacksonville, to Amelia,
Yes,
St.
sir.
Simon's,
Yes,
and all
sir.
those other places where all these people
have got these condominiums
for 4
rented days. Man, there's going to be some property destroyed tonight.
Saturday night.
That's right.
They're doing
Saturday night. I cannot wait. Cannot wait. This, Clark, as a Georgia fan, this is the best week of the year. This is Christmas week right here. I don't care what the records are down in Jacksonville. You always get fired up when it's Georgia, Florida, and it is Georgia, Florida. Always will be Georgia, Florida. That is the appropriate name of when referring to this game, and will also be the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Always be that name, man. What a unique game that we get to experience as Georgia fans. Yes, the mass exodus will start around Wednesday and especially on Thursday down I-16, I-95, heading down there to the Amelia Islands, to the St. Simons, to the Jackal Islands, to the Jacksonville beaches, and it'll just be flooded in red and black. Nothing like it. If you've never experienced it before, I hope that you get to do it someday because as a Georgia fan, it's kind of like, what would you call I don't know, one of these experiences that you need to have in life, like that. I would say not necessarily a bucket list, but some of these like religions have stuff that you got to check off, to do. Like not some of them, some of them out there. Like when I heard it in religion, like my religion class, they have to take the pilgrimage to
Mecca.
To Mecca, exactly. So I mean, as a Georgia fan, we're not putting religion into this. It was just the synonym I had with it, kind of a comparison to.
Sure. Are you saying that we should be marching around and praying the Everbank Stadium, whatever they call it?
I'm saying this is something you got to put on the check mark as a Georgia fan. You got to get down there. You got to get to Jacksonville, man.
Oh yeah.
So
I agree.
Woo, I love it.
And hey,
big week.
If you are going to Jacksonville, first of all, let us know. We'd love to know.
Yeah,
if you're
drop a
going down
comment
there.
in the old comment box and let us know that you will be in Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah. Secondly, if you're going on I-16 down south to the Georgia, Florida game, you need to be careful on the roads, just for a lot of reasons. But really, check the speed because we are notorious, Adam. Our family is notorious for getting speeding tickets down that way.
Always, man.
And God bless the officers out there protecting us. But
God bless them.
Some of them take it a little too far when it comes to speeding.
When you're
5 miles
a little
an hour.
bit, a little bit 5 miles an hour, you'll be all right, I believe. But yeah, I enjoy getting old lead foot going straight down through there. Yeah, I mean, that place has changed a lot. There's Clark, when you go down there, and everybody else going down there, and when I went down that way in May, there's a massive. It's not Kia, I think it's Hyundai. I don't know. Plant being
it's Kia.
Is it a Kia plant?
Are you saying the one that's already built?
Yeah. Oh no, I don't know if it's built yet or not. Or it's. I mean, it was massiff.
Is it to the right?
Massive. Yeah, it's to the right.
Yeah, it's
Kia.
Kia.
See, I mean, just crazy the infrastructure that's coming into this state.
Yeah, heck
yeah, just wild. Just wild. I don't know. I mean, that's a different conversation for a different day.
Sure,
how we feel about that. But right now, we're talking about Georgia football, baby.
It ought to be a fun episode here on the Row 60. So we're going to talk a little bit about Jacksonville, what we do, kind of our traditions. We always like to talk about that. I've got some Clark's fun facts.
Of course.
Then we're going to kind of switch it up. We're going to talk about last week's games. Last week's games, they were very interesting. There's a lot to talk about with those, just because there's some playoff implications and some things that have kind of shifted the picture. Georgia, Florida history. I hope you brought your notepad to this lesson.
Yes,
because
sir.
Adam, I'm sure you will deliver to the people some really good
ready
notes.
to educate some people. Yeah. Ready to educate some people on the backstory of this rivalry.
Yeah, if UGA had a course that was focused solely on the history of Georgia football, I would nominate you as the professor.
I appreciate that. They probably checked with old Jeff Dantzler.
Yeah.
He's a big Georgia historian, but I'd be right there behind him. I'd like to think,
Maybe you could be what do they call it? TA, a teacher's assistant?
Right. Absolutely. But yes, I think that should be a class that every student that is coming to the University of Georgia has to take, because I think more and more we get to the point where people don't really understand Georgia football and what it means when they come to Georgia. They're coming to Georgia for other reasons, like academics.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's great and all. I understand everybody's got to got to get a job that they like to, help make ends meet in life. But people need to know when they're coming to Georgia what the football is built in this university. And I think that should be a requirement if you didn't grow up in this state, didn't grow up around Georgia football, when you go to Athens to go to school, that as a freshman you need to have a history review.
Well, and the thing is, too,
football.
that's interesting. Yeah, I agree with you. There's something interesting, too. These students, the ones that are starting to be in college, I don't think can really appreciate how far we've come in this football program.
Yeah. I mean, we couldn't appreciate it our age because we didn't live through the 90s.
Right.
But even more so now, people can appreciate it, Yeah. So, I mean, it's something that's definitely amazing to see where we're at, and something we'll talk about with this rivalry, where we've been now for the past better part of Shoot Clark. I'd say starting in 2011 is where stuff really changed in Jacksonville, I feel like. And we'll get to that segment, but I'm excited about it. Big show coming off the bye week. So
agreed, yeah. And then last, we'll end with a kind of a preview looking at this matchup specifically. Yeah. And at the end, we will have a score prediction.
That's right. That's right.
Ought to be a fun episode. Adam, when are you headed down to Jacksonville?
I'm heading down on Wednesday, Clark.
Wednesday?
I'm getting my tail down there.
Nice.
I'm going to get down there. I'm going to get on the beach in Amelia. I'm probably going to, get out there and lay out in the sun a little bit. I mean, there's no better time to go to the beach than late October, early November to me. So that's and down there in Amelia Island. So I'm going to go down there and really just kick back, put my hair down, stay a little bit, Clark.
Okay. Are you going to go play putt-putt? Because we stay beside a place that has a putt-putt course.
Yeah, we'll probably venture over there. I mean, I'm all for a good time, no matter what. A good time, and putt-putt sounds like a dang good time.
It really does.
I might ride a bike. I see that our condo's got a bike, so I'll probably get up for an early morning stroll on the bike, pop in the old AirPods, listen to a podcast or two, just enjoy the salty beach smell and cruise down the sidewalk a little bit on the bike. And
is it the A1? What's it, A1A?
I don't think it's A1A. I think A1A is on the Panhandle, I believe. I think this is Amelia. I think this is called Amelia Island, Fernandina Beach.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right. The A1A.
Yep. So
Jim Wilcox is probably laughing at us right now. Not knowing our geography.
That's right. That's right.
I'm excited about Jacksonville. I'm going to be right behind you. Florida. I'm leaving for Florida on Friday night.
Yeah.
Late.
Right.
Actually, it'd be Saturday morning by the time I get to.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be. You're not
gonna get a lot of shut eye.
No, I'm
down, man. No. So you're just gonna have to really reach down deep in the tank. Maybe have to hit the old gas tank from regular gas and put it on the reserve there. And roll. Because we got to have you at your A game in Jacksonville on Saturday.
We'll be okay. I just got to make it there. I've got a job in Atlanta, so I'm leaving hopefully about 8 or 9.
Right.
And then driving through the night. So
that's awesome. I'll say this. Callie just started walking, my daughter, and so I'm excited to get her out on the beach. It's going to be a good family trip. So this is going to be like family the first part. You go at the beginning of the week to have some good family memories, start that. But then there's a certain line in the trip where you gotta switch gears a little bit. And that's usually about Friday afternoon at about 3:37 is when that mindset kind of shifts.
Wait, 3:37
on a Friday afternoon.
So 3:37 p.m.
That's the good family time and fun to like. There's a reason why we're down here. Most normal people go to the beach in July or June.
Right.
We come for this specific reason. And that's kind of when you hit that mindset and get into another zone, if you will, Clark.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on to some fun facts.
Hit it.
Clark's fun facts. Georgia has now been ranked at #1 in the AP poll for 19 straight weeks.
Wow.
That is the 3rd longest streak in college football history.
Sir.
Sir. That's just crazy to me.
That is amazing.
We are 2 weeks away from tying Miami's streak of 22.
Yes.
Or actually, awesome. No, that's 3. Sorry, 3 weeks away.
3 weeks away. Dang. Hey, it's doable. It's gonna be hard, man, but it's doable. Very doable. So,
USC, the Trojans, they hold the longest at 33.
Ah, man,
that was the Reggie Bush,
the
Matt
Carson
Leinart
Palmer,
days.
Matt Leinart, Pete Carroll. I mean, they were stuck. I figured they would have had to vacate those bad boys along with Reggie.
Maybe
Bush.
So. Well,
but, I mean, anyway, those were studs. I mean, good company right there. I don't know what era of Miami football that 22 was. If it was the 2000, 2001 era.
Yes, I
was
believe
it?
it was.
There were some studs. So that's good company right there two heck of a dynasties in college football during that time period. So, yeah, I mean, it's unreal. When you read stats like that, Clark, that I guess it's just you just keep winning and you're seeing, you don't realize, like, when you look at the numbers and the statistics, where this Georgia football program is right now and really what in the world has transpired since we were in Charlotte, North Carolina, Labor Day Saturday in 2021 against Clemson. And from that night forward, what we have seen to a current day has just been unbelievable. I mean, I've said it many times, you got to just pinch yourself as a Georgia fan. And you hope that's where we would be at when we hired Kirby. And, you know, you get up to the high 17, and then in 18, 19, you have some hopes and it doesn't work out. And then, bam, 2021 hit. You have 2020 where you were just thankful to have a football season, a little bit of one there. And then 2021 hits, and boom, it's been off the races ever since, man. And I'm not ready for it to slow down. I'm not ready for it to slow down. I'll say it again. I'm not ready for it to slow down. We still got one more in us, and that's where we got to be ready to go.
Yeah. Hey, it's one game.
Of the season, man. One game at a time. So right now, it's the Florida Gators. You shouldn't have to bring your own juice to this game. Right. You should be able. I mean, this is one where you don't have to look at yourself and have to dig down deep to find motivation for this. It should just naturally be there when you put on that red helmet with the black G on the side of it.
I agree.
When you cross that St. Johns River, and then boys cross that St. Johns River on that bus, Clark, and they go over that bridge and they see the plenty of just blue and red tailgate tents. I mean, just people in the masses just around tailgating, man. You know it's something different. You know it's something different.
Oh yeah.
And I've heard guys talk about that before. It's kind of surreal, especially the ones who's never been down there before in their life. And it is. I mean, anybody that's ever not gone to the Georgia-Florida game and seen the atmosphere, you can't really describe it. You can't really describe it until you see it.
It is unique.
Experience it.
Incredibly unique. What's also unique, Adam, is Georgia is averaging 509 yards per game offensively.
Wow.
So we rank third in the nation in that category.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I mean, you look at the offenses we're in the top three with. LSU obviously has just really had a good year with Jaden Daniels at quarterback, and then you got a very veteran guy also in Bo Nix at quarterback for Oregon, and I think they're number 2, correct?
Yep.
So, and then Georgia's right there behind number 3. Yeah, you really got to tip your hat, man, to Mike Bobo and Carson Beck and this offense of what they've done to this point of the season, man. And I'll be honest, even though what we talked about last episode, losing number 19 is going to hurt, and can't wait until that day when we do get them back. But, hey, this team's going to keep rolling. And I have all the faith that we still see the production out of the guys that Mike Bobo and staff's going to be putting out there.
Yeah, me too. Georgia is, and this is my last fun fact here, it took me a minute to gather this information, but I thought this was kind of interesting. Georgia is only one of 5 teams in America that has not recovered a fumble this season.
That's unreal thinking.
So the other 4 would be Indiana, Stanford, Washington, and Iowa State.
Interesting company right there, Clark.
Yeah.
Interesting company. I mean, Washington's a top 5 team. I mean, I don't know how in the world after last night, it was wild, that game against Arizona State. But, I mean, that is crazy to think that secondary's got some picks, man, but the fact that this Kirby Smart defense has not recovered a fumble yet, but still where they're at, Clark, Georgia, correct me if I'm wrong, is the only team in the nation to be top 10 in total defense and offense, correct? Yes. So, number 6 in defense and number 3 in offense. And, man, I mean, that should get you a little bit fired up right there. When you look and you see it, and you might not think it, because it's hard for me as a fan. I can see more of the offense, but the defense to be up that high, it speaks volumes about the talent on this team and the coachings that they've had on both sides of the ball, and where our confidence level should be and what this football team can do going forward. Because as we alluded to last episode, there's still plenty of chatter since Saturday at noon in Nashville, Tennessee, what the events that unfolded there. A lot of doubts crept into the state of Georgia, Clark. All the way up in Hiawassee down to Valdosta, there's been some doubt. There's been some doubt running rampant through this state, man. And I just think it's a little bit premature right now. I mean, it's realistic because of what these other teams are doing and what Brock Bowers meant, Clark. But still remember who is in that locker room. Still remember who is leading and who has established the culture in that locker room. And let's see where it goes.
Yeah. I'm with you, Adam. I feel more confident after talking it out and just evaluate.
You got to talk it out. I mean, these things like, you got to find a good buddy. You got to call them up, man. You got to have a talk with him and say, hey, man, we're going to be all right with
That's why we do this podcast.
Exactly right. And everybody's got their buddy. And a couple people they'll call and they'll talk to at church. They'll talk to on the road. They'll talk to at work, anywhere, kids' ball games, whatever. And, you just feed off good company, man. Iron sharpens iron. No different with Georgia football fans sharpen Georgia football fans.
Yeah.
So find a good positive Georgia fan, not one that the sky is falling. Find one who can speak some light into it, and kind of grasp onto that. And then because when you start pointing out facts and you start making some good arguments, and it just starts building and on each other and on top of it, then you start feeling pretty good. Like, oh yeah, 3-peat 15-0. Here we go.
Yeah. That's what it takes to win football games, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what it takes. Glass half full approach, man. As a fan, yeah.
Hey, I will say
why
this.
not? There's really no reason as a fan not to. As a Georgia fan right now, why would you be glass half empty?
I don't know.
Man, there's really no reason. I'm fat and happy.
Me too.
I'm a fat. The good Lord has blessed me. I've ate, Clark. I'm fat and happy when it comes to Georgia football and where we're at as a program. And it's going to be the toughest stretch in the last 3 years. This 4 games will be the toughest stretch that we have seen with our fan base, man. Everybody talking it out. There's no doubt that this team that everybody called just charming soft, the schedule, I should say, that everybody said is just charming soft. All of a sudden, man, the turntables have turned, Clark.
The turntables have turned. That's great. Yeah, it's interesting. I
like to say the turntables have turned.
Yes.
But anyway,
it's interesting how I do think a fan base kind of either helps or hurts a team. I don't think. Do you? And hear me out.
The floor is yours.
Yeah,
I want to hear it.
I think I'm not saying we're the direct cause of whether or not we win or lose, but I will say this: it helps in the culture. Okay, when you have positivity, when you have some people who are on board with what you're doing and are donating, that's really where it helps and affects as us as
more
fans.
Than ever.
Yes, but you look at teams like Texas A&M. Everybody's in the dumps, and why wouldn't you be? Their football team's garbage, and so the fans aren't helping the matter. Is my point, and it's just a bad culture there, right? But Georgia and Athens, you can't really say that. Now, we do have our naysayers still, and we got the people who are still complaining, and I don't get it.
Stupid.
But the large majority of people are, like you said earlier, fat and happy, and they do post stuff on social media, and that is positive. And listen, these guys, these players, 100%, 100,000%, not all of them, but most of them see what we as people post about them.
It's the digital age, man. So you see that stuff. And
maybe not.
Alluding to Texas A&M, as a Texas A&M fan, I would be ticked right now, Clark, because they have gave that coaching staff everything they've asked for. Resources, fan support, everything. And it's inexcusable what's happened. But anyway, they could talk about that on Ag Talk or whatever it's called, Aggies.com. I don't know what that platform.
The Gig 'em podcast.
Tex Ags, that's it. But anywho, so it's exciting where we're at. I think this stretch, man, I think as fans, we should look at it too. It's something different in a sense.
Yeah.
Obviously, I want Georgia to go out there and win every game 6-0. But each week, you are getting fired up and talking about different narratives of what each game could be, man. And to start this stretch is in Jacksonville.
And two, you're right. I mean, these last, I'm not going to say 5.
Kind of exciting, right?
Right. These last 5 games, really the last 4, or the next 4, the last game doesn't really matter that much.
No, we're going to
smoke those guys. But what I'm saying is it presents a challenge. And the times that Georgia has been challenged as a football team the past few years, they've stepped up to the plate. Every single time with the exception of one time.
That's right.
And they've done their job and they win the game.
I think, and they play better in games like what we're seeing coming up, opposed to what we saw at 11 a.m. Central Time in Nashville, Tennessee. This is a team that likes when it's on the big stage, likes when it's doubted, and likes when all the attention is on them to step up. There's never a moment that's too big.
Exactly.
And we'll see with these other teams if they are. I mean, we're not going to look ahead of Florida, but you got Missouri coming into town. SEC East hopes up. A bye week this week, Clark.
Yeah.
We go down to Jacksonville, and then they got a bye week. Ole Miss just won a big game in Auburn, Alabama, Saturday night, and they're seeing if some stuff happens. I mean, the week before we play them, Clark, if Alabama, well, I mean, they're seeing if stuff could happen, man, that Alabama drop a couple games that they could go to the West, but I still win an SEC championship. Maybe so. A lot of teams that still got a lot of high hopes for the season ahead in Georgia, and Georgia's everybody's Super Bowl, and we'll see what happens. But right now, it's on Florida. Florida is number one, Clark. You don't have successful seasons if you lose in Jacksonville. That's my thought process, man. I mean, yeah, you do. 2002, obviously. 2005, obviously. But when you think of those 02 the SEC champions in 2002 and the 2005 SEC champions, man, you think of them with fond memories. 2002 was a 20-year drought-busting one. 2005 came out of nowhere, man. But there's always a blemish on that compared to the 2017 SEC champions and the 2021 SEC champions, and that's not winning in Jacksonville, man. That's how important this game is to the Georgia people.
Right. Yeah. Before we jump into more Georgia-Florida stuff, let's talk about this past week's games. We got, first of all, Penn State at Ohio State. Yeah, I got to be honest, it was a little boring, and that's not fair because that was a good defensive battle and a good defense struggle. And if you like defense, this is your kind of game. Yeah. Adam, you're a big defensive guy.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate these kind of low-scoring games, but I guess I was expecting a little bit more out of both of these teams' offenses. Yeah. But, man, what a battle. Ohio State ended up winning 20-12. What'd you think about it?
James Franklin can't get over the hump with them, man. Good coach, and, is always going to be close to that 10-game win mark, but is never going to win that division maybe once every 10 years, it seems like, with them. Yeah. But, if this was time to beat Ohio State, even though it was in Columbus, Clark, you hit the nail on the head. Defense, guys. Ohio State much improved on the defense side of the ball. Manny Diaz has done a good job with Penn State. Jim Knowles has done an outstanding job with Ohio State. I was texting back and forth with Jack Goss, sits in section 108 with us, and he hit the nail on the head with it, man, too. And something that if you were watching that game, you couldn't help but think, thank God for Carson Beck, man. The quarterback play by both teams was atrocious.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
You kept hearing about Drew Aller. And I was like, man, they get rid of Sean Clifford. I mean, he's been there, was there 4 or 5 years. They said that he was holding them back. This Aller kid, and he's only a sophomore, so he's got time to progress. That was the first time I got to see him play a complete game. I was not impressed with Aller's performance. And I'm not impressed with the Kyle McCord kid at Ohio State. Definitely not the gunslinger like they have had the past few years since Urban Meyer went to Columbus, man. Yeah. I mean, they got a plethora of receivers that are really, really good, but the quarterback plays, what I took away, not only was that how bad they struggled under center for both sides.
Yeah, and it wasn't even a thing where I think both defenses did play really well, but there were a lot of missed throws, I thought, kind of on both sides, especially with Ohio State. Yeah. But the Aller kid, in his defense, he did say after the end of the game, he played like crap. I mean, it was bad. Yeah, he knew it. So,
in his defense, too, his center got blew up out every play. I mean, there was defensive tackles where the penetration they got on the inside the A-gap, I mean, they were getting smoked. They were getting smoked. So it's not like he had all day and but still, not a good effort. I mean, both, especially Penn State's defense had to be pretty down and out with just having to constantly go back. I mean, a lot of 3 and outs back and forth. Right. But I mean, it was wild. Not an Ohio State team this year that you traditionally see, more of a defensive threat, I feel like. I mean, they still got Marvin Harrison Jr. and Egbuka and some studs on offense. They've been struggling running the football, but Georgia could beat either one of them on a neutral field, man.
Think so?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
When Georgia brings their A game, man. That was the theme of what I saw Saturday is Georgia bringing their A+ game, especially in the postseason, get back Brock Bowers, get back to, get him back in the lineup, good to go by December, man. There's no doubt that I think Georgia's A+ game, what they played against Kentucky and Athens the other Saturday night, can beat any team I saw play Saturday.
I'm with you there. Ohio State,
that's not red and black shaded glasses.
No,
I don't think.
Yeah. Ohio State seems like they're in the driver's seat. Well, no,
until they get smoked by Michigan.
I was about to say.
Yeah. I think that's going to be a great game. Roll both them teams.
Now Michigan, they haven't played yet. Michigan and Penn State. Just for kicks and giggles here, what if Penn State beats Michigan beets Ohio State.
Yeah, however they have the three-way tiebreaker.
Yeah, something like that. So that'd be interesting.
I don't know what'll happen, but man, Michigan's a good football team. I hate to say that. I mean, you can say, well, they haven't played nobody. Yeah, they hadn't, but they've took care of their business like they should every single week on both sides of the football. You can't say that every win that they've had. Well, I think they've struggled a couple of halves against some no-name teams, Bowling Green and Rutgers. But at the end of the day, man, they put their foot on their throat of each opponent they played, and I think it was pretty physical. Now, did they cheat to get there? I mean, a lot of turmoil, and we'll see if that stuff, the distractions they had at the beginning of the year, and now it's just recently came to surface. If it has any distraction in the locker room in Ann Arbor going forward, but that's a team, man, that I would like to see Georgia play. I'd like to see Georgia play. I mean, it'd be a little bit nerve-wracking, but I think it'd be a good game. And I still think Georgia could beat them, too.
Yeah. Michigan, they're very complete. They kind of remind me of what we were in 2021. I mean, just blowing the brakes off everybody. And yeah, you're right. They really haven't played anybody. But the teams that they have played, they've taken care of business. So, anyway. All right, Tennessee at Alabama. This turned into a pretty fun game to watch. For 3 quarters, I'd say. Yeah. Alabama ended up winning 34-20. If you were watching the game in the first half, you fell asleep and then didn't wake up till right now, you would think Tennessee probably, handled them. But no, what was it? Was it 20-7 going into
Yeah, 27 going into half, Clark. And one of them games, man, I think it was a culture win by Alabama. I think they didn't panic. Just like Georgia, we've seen a couple times this year, start off slow, be down by double digits at half, but because of what the winning culture you have instilled in your locker room, you come out, you do what they did. So impressive scoring 27 unanswered right there by Alabama. What killed Tennessee, man, is they had so many opportunities in the first quarter to make it 21-0. Yep. You can't beat teams like Alabama. You can't beat teams like Georgia by not capitalizing in the red zone and only putting up field goals, man. So I think that was the lesson there. I think where the game really changed was Josh Heupel. I mean, he's done a good job with Tennessee. You can't say he hasn't. Was going for that 4th-and-1 play.
Well, he went for fourth down twice.
Twice.
It's ridiculous.
Twice. And I mean, a lot of coaches are doing that because everybody's thinking about numbers, man. Everybody wants to talk about computer-generated numbers and whatever computer-generated analytics come up with. That's what we need to do instead of just using common sense. Just use your brain, people. Use your brain. Don't let a computer think for you. God.
Yeah, I'm with you.
No,
to some extent.
Brain,
well,
man.
hold on now.
Use your brain.
You know good and well. You know good and well.
You should have went for it on 4th-and-1.
Oh, then
not
there.
I don't care how many decimal numbers are rounded up to say you should have went for it 4th-and-1 right there. No,
but Kirby and company do that
like
too.
Penn State going for it on 4th-and-1 with 7 minutes left in the game and only being down by less than a touchdown, right, on their own side of the field. I mean, stupidity, Clark. Common sense is going out the window with these coaches more and more these days. I feel like or either that or get a freaking defense you can lean on. And Tennessee's defense is playing better than their offense this year, it seems like. And I guess that might be a case if you have so much confidence in your defense, even if you do get stopped. Yeah, you can say that. But, I mean, man, some of this stuff, I don't quite – I mean, Dan Lanning's had a couple in the past couple of years, but, of course, I'm no coach. I hate to say that. But I think we have seen the 4th-and-short calls that haven't been converted come back and really bite these coaches in the tail more so than like, oh, man, that 4th down, going for it on 4th down right there, that sealed it. That did it, you know. And, yeah, so anyway.
Watching Tennessee lose or watching Tennessee give up 27 unanswered in the second half was so funny to me.
That was great.
This was a meteor game, but still,
no, we didn't need them to win. Don't need them having a lot of juice going in the Knoxville.
That, and I mean, this really is insurance. It's free insurance for us Georgia fans, because if we were to beat, Missouri, if we do go on and beat Florida and Ole Miss, and we go into that game and we do lose it, we're still in control. We still have, we would have won the East at that point, assuming Missouri. We would have won the East. Yeah. We could clinch the East
before we go to Knoxville.
Yeah,
absolutely, man.
Yeah, that is right.
And hey, I mean, we'll see what happens to LSU Alabama that game, because LSU has 2 losses but 1 SEC loss, and Alabama has 0 SEC losses. If LSU beats them in Tuscaloosa in a couple of weeks, Clark, then LSU is in control and more than likely probably going to win the West for a second straight year. But if Alabama beats them, hey, I want Alabama. I'm not scared of Alabama anymore, Clark. There's used to be times I'd like to avoid Alabama at all costs just because it was a mental thing, but that ended in Indianapolis. And then what happened last year, even though we didn't draw them any, this program is here, that we're a program that we should never be intimidated by the Crimson when we step on the field where we're at Georgia now. So if Georgia plays Alabama, I still think, even though I think Alabama's a team that's got a very elite defense, Clark, and the offense, I feel like that is getting better. Georgia could still beat these teams, Clark. Still beat these teams, man. And hey, I don't care if it's LSU or Alabama. It'd be a hard out, but this team, man, if Georgia is who we think they are and what we've thought about from all off season until now, even though there's been some games you're like, and there's a lot of people kind of teetering on Georgia. I think this team can still reach every goal they have set in front of them.
I'm with you. Yeah.
It's going to be harder than we thought, I think, but it's there. It's there for the taking, man.
Yep. Ole Miss at Auburn,
Wow.
28-21. Good job, Lane Kiffin, getting that win. That was a fun game to watch if you didn't watch it.
Very emotional game
It
for
was.
both sides, man. But Ole Miss, I think that's the first time they beat Auburn back-to-back years since 71 years.
Yeah, something like that.
So, I mean, something crazy. So, good job by Lane Kiffin, man. Only one loss for the year so far. So, I don't know who he's got on the schedule before. I imagine he's got a bye week, maybe one of the next couple weeks, or maybe not. Maybe he's already had his bye week. And I don't know who they play, but very, very possible that they come into Athens in a couple weeks with only one loss, close to a top 10 ranked team in a top 10 showdown. Hopefully, if everything plays out right in Athens, man.
Yeah, I want to say Ole Miss has a bye week this week. I could be wrong. Don't fact check me on that.
Yeah,
or I guess you could fact check me. But
well, yeah, Missouri definitely has a bye week, so they'll only be riding one loss when they come into Athens, and Ole Miss very well could be too. So definitely two top 15 matchups possible.
Yeah.
Coming into Athens, man. Yeah, I mean, who would have thought that at the beginning of the year? But here we are.
Here we are. Duke at Florida State, 38-20.
Good effort,
Florida
by Duke,
State.
Clark.
Yeah,
good effort.
They
by
played
Duke,
with them for 3 quarters.
Yeah,
and I don't think if you don't lose Riley in that game, what is it? Leonard Riley?
Leonard.
Leonard Riley. Oh my gosh. I think if you keep him in the game, it's a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
yeah.
Very, very close. Hey, did you
Mike
watch?
Elko's done a dang good job. I look for that to be the next coach at College Station, Texas. I'm calling it right now. Mike Elko will replace Jimbo at the end of the year because I think Mike Elko is more of Clark, our favorite, what we talk about, a hard hat lunch pail type of coach, Clark. And I think they're doing with the high contract glitz and glamour of like a Jimbo, bringing them in and parading them like high profile national championship coach. I think they've been sick of that the past few years, and they get somebody who can build it from the ground up. You know what I'm saying, Clark? Like you lay out a foundation. Elko's been at A&M before, knows the culture, and phenomenal job at Duke. I think that's who you're going to be looking at as your next coach at A&M.
I mean, he really has changed his program.
Yeah, I mean, he has.
Duke.
You took him from job in year 2.
Yeah, took him from
a great
nothing.
defense coordinator when he was a defense coordinator. So heck of a hire.
Yeah, let's talk about a couple of games that weren't on the slate, and then we'll get to this last one because I want to save this last one.
Save the best for last.
Yeah. Did you watch Texas at Houston? Did you see the end of it?
I did not see the end of it. I kept up with the score. It's like, oh my gosh, look at Dana Holgerson.
Yeah.
Like probably going to get fired possibly. And like sitting there.
I'm telling y'all, they almost pulled up an upset against Texas. Huge. They got down to tie the game up. I mean, they may have been on the 10-yard line or something, but it was clear. They went for it on 4th down. They got the first down conversion.
Did they really?
100%. I mean, even the commentators were like, there's no way they didn't. They didn't even review it.
Really?
They didn't even review it. And they lost the game on that, but they were going to tie it up.
Get them to review it?
No. They had a timeout.
Dana could have called a timeout. Got to get that ref's ear, man. Got to look at it throughout the red flag. Right?
I didn't understand it. I did not understand why they didn't,
man.
But it was a
so
wild
clear cut.
It was 100%.
Wow, man,
he got the first down.
That. God.
Then, obviously, did you watch UNC, North Carolina, Virginia?
I did not watch it. I kept up with the score though from the games I was watching. That's probably one of the worst losses that has been in NCAA football in a long time. A top 10, people starting to discuss, hey, is North Carolina a dark horse? Ranked number 10, lose to the worst Power 5 team in America. I mean, the dead last cellar dweller in college football in the Power 5 conferences, Virginia. So good win for Tony Elliott, man, I guess. So, hey, I mean, Matt Brown, that's bad. That's a bad loss right there. It was in Chapel Hill, too, right?
It was embarrassing.
Home loss, embarrassing. So write them off, man. ACC starting to turn into what we think they are.
Fraudulent?
I think fraudulent. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know who Florida State would draw. They're probably going to run the table, man, and be a playoff team. But even what Florida State did to LSU on that Sunday night, Labor Day weekend, I think if they played them today, it would be different. And I wouldn't be scared of Florida State in a playoff scenario, man. So, but that's going to be a team that sneaks in, Clark. I mean, if we want to talk about the playoff picture a little bit, it could get very interesting. And there's strong possibilities that the SEC could even not make it in.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen, but
there's
some stuff that could happen, man.
It's never been like this before.
A lot of parity in the nation right now. A lot of parity in the college football landscape. One more other game before we go to that one real quick. Did you watch UCF Oklahoma?
Yes. Oh,
Gus,
my gosh.
Our old friend Gus Malzahn about went into Norman and beat a top 10 team.
That was a good game.
Mason Plumlee, yeah. I mean, good games. I mean, has your view of Oklahoma or Texas changed any?
No, I mean, look.
Exactly.
This is what I've told McKay, my buddy, patron. Shout out to him. You know, we look at these teams like, look at UCF beating up on Oklahoma, giving Oklahoma everything that they can handle. But then I think about what we've done this year.
Well, I was going to say.
And you see, I mean, people have probably said that when we played UAB or whoever. Right. So.
Well, everybody said that, and everybody's talking about, Georgia's just not as good this year. And again, go back to what we preached all year. Can't compare them the last 2 years. But Clark. So if everybody's now, what you're hearing in the community, you hear it. You talk Georgia football with people every day. I talk Georgia football with people every day. People are down with this team. But you look at Alabama, lost the game, but then also went to dang South Florida and only won by what, 17-10, 17-10, something just
not a lot of
not
points.
Impressive at all, right? Ohio State has not looked very good at times against some lackluster opponents, man. And Michigan steamrolled everybody they were supposed to, but still, I mean, you can't really say they have played anybody exactly. So, and then you get Texas and Oklahoma doing what they have done. Florida State barely won in Boston, Massachusetts or Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts against Boston College earlier in the year.
Washington
barely won the other night. And so, I mean, there's a lot of parity around the college football landscape this year, so you can't say one team has been completely dominant. If you want to, it's like we said earlier, Michigan, but still. So that's why I'm saying, and I want to just make that point, Clark, that everybody just needs to chill out and still believe in this Georgia football team, man. I mean, stuff can happen, still a lot of ball left to play, but just look around the landscape, man. Before you develop an opinion and you think you have it just chiseled in stone, look around the landscape and see what's going on in college football this year.
Yeah. Clemson at Miami, 28-20.
That's a good one. Oh, man. I jumped out of bed when I saw this.
Did you really?
I was so excited.
Yeah, I stayed up to watch this one. God, what a fun ending it was. It never makes me sad when Clemson loses.
Yeah, I mean, they lost in front of 5,000 people in Miami
against a backup quarterback,
against a true freshman backup, right?
Oh, really?
I think you're freshman. Right. So anyway, I mean, to the point where old Cristobal, God bless him, probably one of the worst clock managers in the game, right?
Yep.
Decided, had some pretty good change left on the clock to try to drive downfield and get a game-winning field goal before regulation ended, but just decided to play it safe because he's got a young quarterback out there, right? And take it into OT, and boy, did they take it into OT. And Clark, what about that play? What did you think about the final play?
It was not an RPO. It was fourth down, and if you didn't see this, Clemson was on probably the 4-yard line, 3-yard line, trying to punch it in.
Yeah.
Fourth down, they had to score because Miami scored 8 before that, so the field goal wouldn't work. Even 7 wouldn't have worked. They had to get 8. So fourth down, Cade Klubnik, he took the ball, he pulled it. Yeah. It was a read option, right?
Yeah.
It was 100% a read option. The end crashed. He pulled it. He tried to scamper to the pylon. Didn't even come close.
Nah.
Got tackled. Nah. Dabo lost it, though.
He lost
it. And then in the press game, the presser, whatever, post-game presser, Dabo was asked, was that an RPO? Was that a run-pass option play? Right. He was like, no, it was an inside handoff, blah, blah, blah. And he totally threw Cade Klubnik under the bus.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was so funny because you could tell at the end of the game he was yelling at somebody that didn't work or I told you so. I think it was I told you so or something like that. I mean, just off rails, man. What I love about it, Clark, is you've heard Dabo this, Dabo that. You've seen two cultures, 85 miles apart. Kirby and Dabo's both have 2 national championships, but you see the ones that's last to sustain, Clark. And that's, I believe, was what Kirby Smart's built in Athens. And that Dabo, I think it's like any empire. I think the Roman Empire. I think the Ottoman Empire. I think you could go back to the ancient Greeks. I think you could go back to the old English, the English Empire in the 1700s. All great, and Napoleon and France. Yep. All of these empires, I feel like, were built on arrogance and thinking that they don't need to adapt to anything. That because they are who they think that they are, that it'll be all right. Well, I think he's just got just like Napoleon when he invaded Russia, Clark. It didn't work out, right?
Yeah.
It didn't work out. Right. It didn't work out because, but the arrogance of thinking that it would work out. It got them, and that's how these empires have ended ever since the beginning of the dawn of time, man. And I think that's what we're seeing in Clemson. It is ending and it's crumbled. It is done. Shut the book on it. I know, hey, they got to see 2 national championships, but Dabo's formula does not work and won't win in college football anymore unless they get another generational quarterback. How in the world they got lucky enough to get 2 generational quarterbacks back to back? I don't know. But Brent Venables, I think, was the heart that just left it and went to Norman, Oklahoma as well. And hey, I love seeing it. I love seeing it. But if Dabo is going to get them back to where those fans are going to want them to be at, because there's going to be some rowdy people over in upstate South Carolina now, then by gosh, he better adapt his ways, man, and change his tune and kind of humble himself a little bit, Clark. And I love to see it. I love to see it. I love to see it. So,
man.
Yeah, I enjoy perusing the Clemson message board.
It's a tradition like none other.
A tradition like none other.
Oh, man. All right, let's move on. Georgia, Florida, the world.
Let me answer this real quick because we've had these comments before, just really, really fast, Clark. The reason why we bash Clemson so much, because we asked, why do y'all hate Clemson so much? Well, Georgia and Clemson used to be big rivals. They still are rivals, but they used to play every year, and a lot of older Georgia fans you see show their disdain for Clemson. But we live actually closer to where we are in Northeast Georgia to Clemson than we do Athens. Right in the middle of it, really. And so, naturally, we do not like Clemson, never will like Clemson. No. And anytime Clemson loses, it's a good day. Anytime Georgia gets to hand Clemson that loss, it's a phenomenal day. So, anyway, that's just a quick, just answering some questions we've heard in the past of why you just hear us, especially since Georgia don't play Clemson annually, talk about them a lot.
Yep. Well, we don't like these guys either. Georgia,
yes,
Florida.
We do not.
Here's a little history lesson, all right? I'm going to add a couple things in that. I want you to rattle off some stuff here. Georgia leads the series 55-44-2.
Yeah.
According to Florida, it's 54-44-2. They don't give us one win. I think it was way back in the 1900s. They said that game didn't count.
It did.
Something like that.
Toe met leather, Clark.
Toe met leather. Somewhere.
And somebody kept up with the score. Georgia came out victorious. So, yeah, it counts.
I agree. So, we're, 11 games ahead in this series. And that's changed quick because I remember when that number used to be in the other direction.
Yeah. Well, it shows also the dominance Georgia had down in Jacksonville. And that's why when people talk about, we need to move this game, especially in the early 2000s, you heard a lot of that chatter. Well, think about what happened before 1990. The dominance Georgia had before 1990 and still to have a series lead is amazing. But, yes, since 2011 it's turned. But from 1990 to 2011, Georgia won that football game 3 times down there. 1997, 2004, 2007. So how many years is that? 21 years?
Yep.
So, all right, for all the young bucks and people who are just now starting to follow Georgia football who didn't live through that era, realize this. From 1990 to 2011, Georgia only beat Florida in 1997, 2004, and 2007. That's 3 times. They were 3-18 against Florida. And those were some just horrible, painful years, man. It was what made these past couple of years even sweeter to see. So, I mean, still to have an 11-game commanding lead on the series, man. And I mean, everything changed in 2011. Rattled off 3 in a row, and man, I remember that, Clark. Do you remember how excited we were for those 3 wins? A lot of those games. 2012 was meaningful. Georgia was still in the national championship run, but in 11 and 13, Georgia was eliminated from SEC championship contention. Really, I feel like, and definitely national championship contention. But it was still sweet back then, Clark, to rattle off a win against Florida, man. And then had some dark years and again in 14, 15 and then Kirby's first year in 16. But definitely it's just stepped up to another level starting in 17 and 20, like I said.
That 17 win was sweet, man. We beat the brakes off of them. Almost ended their streak of they have I think they still do have the streak where they haven't been shut out in I don't know how many games. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe we could shut them out one day.
Boy, it'd be sweet. Man.
It would have really – I think 17 might have been our best shot, but this year might be a little bit different.
Oh, yeah.
Florida enters this game. Oh, wait, hold up. Go ahead.
I was just going to talk about, just rattle off a few meaningful Georgia-Florida games for everybody if they want to get fired up to look up on the YouTube.
Okay.
1976, Washington to Appleby. Big play there at the end to win that game down there in Jacksonville. 1980, probably the biggest of them all that kept the national championship season alive down there in Jacksonville. Minute 26 left on the clock. Georgia on their own 10-yard lines. Buck Bellew to Lindsey Scott to win that game 26-21. I think a big shutout win in 1982, 44-0. Herschel Walker scored about 3 or 4 touchdowns that day. 1985, Georgia went down there and beat a number 1 ranked Florida team 24-3 when Tim Worley and Keith Henderson ran all over them. 97 was the big win over Spurrier where Donnan got over the hump. Robert Edwards had a day. 04, Clark, we alluded to, man. David Green hit Fred Gibson late to seal that one, 31-24. 07 was the end zone celebration, Stafford to Massaquoi. And and then I guess we're kind of closer to modern day history that everybody knows from there. So,
right.
Yeah, just a few just exciting ones kind of rattle off, man. If you want to just
ones.
go back, this you're laying in the bed, can't sleep, pop it in, look it on the YouTube, man, and watch them. But that's I would say, I can't think of any more that was, that stand out as much as those I just listed.
Yeah. 11 and 12 were great. 13.
Oh, yeah, 12, yep.
13, I didn't go. 13, that was when Gurley, he took that
it's like
running back angle.
Yeah,
pass.
it was. It was a little angle, exactly, right in the middle of the field, man. It just that game, man, 12 was such hype because Florida's ranked number 2. I think Georgia might have been 7 or 8 or 9 or so. And then, 2013, Georgia came into that game, and Florida came in with a couple losses, too. Both teams at least had 2 losses. Georgia had 3 coming into that game. So it wasn't quite the build-up, but still, you get a 3-point win, 23-20 against them.
Anytime you play the Gators, though, there's a build-up.
That's right. It doesn't matter what the records are. You're exactly right.
But it's, in the past, we've talked about this, I think, last year in this episode. This game really does determine the East a lot of times.
Yeah,
it has.
Traditionally, it has. Man.
Up until, probably, 16? Yeah.
In the 90s, it didn't really. But,
right.
From the Richt era on, it did. And, like I said, Georgia's had a lot of good teams go down there and get beat, man. And that's one thing, you got to realize is Georgia's, I think about 02. I think 02 is very similar to this year, Clark.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put that bad juju on us, but I think Florida was ranked number 22 under Ron Zook's his first year. Spurrier left him in 01 to go to the Redskins, and Ron Zook took him over in 02. Georgia was ranked number 5. Last night kickoff down there, and it got too rowdy, and they won't. But I remember then, I've talked about it, I was 9 years old. A lot of Georgia fans like, this is when we're getting the Florida monkey off our back right here. We're going to come down there and smoke them, man. But I'll never forget, Keywan Ratliff from Florida took a pick 6 off Shockley. Yeah, Shockley, because Shockley would come in every third possession. And then I remember we dropped a long touchdown pass, man, there at the end, and we lost that game 20-13, and just couldn't believe we lost it. Shouldn't have lost that game.
Right.
But I could rattle off a bunch of heartbreakers down there, man. But that's why this game means so much to me as a personal, just as a young Adam, getting just juiced about this game, and then just the heartbreak, at that point in time in life. That's all I could think about was Georgia beating Florida, and then it not happening, the disappointment. So every year to go down there and see a Georgia win, I'm more ecstatic than can I don't know can be described.
There you go. Oh yeah,
because of those experiences.
It's a sweet feeling beating the Gators. Hey, let's talk about this game. This upcoming matchup. The line right now is currently 14.5. Adam,
whoa! I love
you taking the Dogs to cover?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Why not? Why not? Yeah.
I think that number's come down a little bit. I think I still think people just don't believe in the Dogs.
I'll take the red and black. This is going to be a game that honestly it's going to be tougher than what I originally had thought at the beginning of the year. Everybody saw Florida play Utah, and everybody knew they get better, but I feel like Billy Napier. I've talked about it. He's been the biggest coach at Florida that, I don't know, you have a hard time not liking. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Obviously he coaches for Florida, so you're not going to like him, but he just seems like a way better guy than McElwain and Mullen and Spurrier and Meyer and all those people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's done a good job, I feel like, turning it around a little bit. He's got another big recruit. Kind of building some momentum down there. Yeah. And big win against South Carolina on the road. That's one thing they have in the Napier era. They have done awful away from the swamp, man. Awful away. They really have. Swamp.
They entered this game with a 5-2 record, with one conference loss to Kentucky. Which, by the way, Georgia smacked Kentucky. So if we're doing the law of transitive properties, we're going to smack the Gators.
Which worse than football, right? Every
time
you see the law of transitive properties, if you add the law of transitive properties to every single game, it comes out like it should every single time
100%.
when you do that formula, correct?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh,
man. All right, let's go into Georgia's offense, the defense. What's kind of going to take place this game? Maybe some predictions, what you think's going to happen on both sides of the ball. Let's start with this. Florida is ranked 18th in the nation in total defense. So really not that bad.
Well, they got Kirby's mini-me over there, don't they?
They sure do.
Or as I should say, Kirby's wannabe. An Austin Armstrong. Hey, works his way. You got to tip your hat to the man. Works his way up the ladder. I mean, I think he's like my age, 30 years old, man. And he's defense coordinator at Florida, and I'm sitting here still working full-time doing a part-time podcast gig here at Clark. So, I mean, no, you really do got to tip your hat to him. I think he was Southern Miss's defense coordinator. Saban hired him as a position coach, and now Napier hired him as a defense coordinator. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Georgia will be fine moving the football. Of course, it'll be the first game that we know we don't have number 19. I cannot wait to see what we've installed this bye week. Another week of rest for Ladd McConkey. 2 weeks of rest for Ladd McConkey to kind of get in the swing of things, to get back better and see how he's utilized more in it, man. And you saw Don Blaylock get a lot more touches in Nashville, and Ra Thomas and everybody. So I'm excited to see. I think we're going to put points on the board. I think with Kendall Milton now getting healthier, and I know he had a little hiccup against Vanderbilt, but I hadn't heard any indications that he should be out against Florida.
Right.
So I think we're going to see a balanced attack, but I don't know, leaning a little bit more towards the air assault, man, and I think Georgia's going to put over 40 points on them.
Oh, I like it. I like the confidence. Yeah, Florida's only allowing 312 yards per game. That's respectable. But on the other side, Georgia is ranked 3rd in the nation, total offense, like we talked about earlier. And yeah, I think the question is this week, who is going to step up? Who's going to take the place of number 19?
Multiple people, man.
And that's it. I mean, it's not just one guy. It's not going to be just number 4 on the offensive side of football. I think you're going to get a healthy dose of number 5, of number 1, number 86. I think we may see Dylan Bell a little bit more.
A hybrid guy.
Yeah, especially out of the backfield.
You're going to see number 2 have a good game.
Yep. It's going to take everybody. I mean, really, to make up for what number 19 did.
It will. And a lot of guys have gotten touches this year, man. We've talked about it. Bobo's done a good job of scheming guys open and distributing the ball in a lot of people's hands, man. So a lot of people have built up some confidence this year.
Yep.
And it's time for somebody to step up and take it, man.
These are the kind of moments as a Division I football player you live for.
That's exactly right.
And you won't. I mean, not that you want to, somebody in front of you to get hurt, but you want the opportunity to play.
But when the coach calls your number, you step up and you make a play and you go down in Georgia lore, man. These are the games where if you make a play and you make stuff happen, Clark, you don't buy another meal with the state of Georgia the rest of your life.
That's right. Yeah, especially at South Georgia.
Dang right.
I bet could you imagine living down close to South Georgia?
Oh yeah,
and
down there, yeah.
Fans?
Oh yeah, man, it'd be tough. But I mean, this is the one, man, that you really live for right here. This is why you come to Georgia, Clark. This is why you come to Georgia and you play these games right here. It's down in Jacksonville, so I can't imagine the excitement and jubilation that these guys got, man, for the opportunity that's in front of them, man. Going to Jacksonville undefeated. That's the pinnacle, man. The halfway point of the season, this part, when you're there, all your goals are in front of you, and getting over the Gators in Jacksonville is a big step to achieving those goals, no matter what the record is down there.
Absolutely. Got to have this one.
Got to have it, baby. Got to have it.
Let's talk about Georgia's defense a little bit and Florida's offense. Graham Mertz, Adam, we kind of laughed at him.
We did.
And maybe rightfully so. But he actually is playing a lot better than I think what people are giving him credit for. Listen to this. He has 1,897 yards on the season, 12 touchdowns, 2 picks. Somebody did a side-by-side comparison, not this past Saturday, but the week before. And they were showing the numbers of Graham Mertz and Jordan Travis.
Yeah, Heisman contender,
Heisman contender,
favorite guy. Right. Yeah,
and actually, if you put them side by side, Graham Mertz actually is doing better.
Wow.
This was once again before this past Saturday, so numbers may have changed a little bit, but
fluctuated a little
bit. Interesting. That is very interesting. Graham Mertz is he's a respectable talent.
Played a lot of ball.
Yeah, yes,
veteran
for
guy.
Sure.
Veteran guy.
He has played a lot of football and is, I'd say, a respectable talent at the University of Florida.
Yeah, man. I think he's a good job distributing the football. You got Ricky Pearsall, whatever his name is. Wide receivers, made some acrobatic catches this year.
He sure has.
That's been on some highlight reels, man. So Trevor Etienne, running back. I haven't watched a lot of Florida this year, to be honest with you, Clark. Not too much of it, but There's been games I feel like the offense has struggled, and then I feel like there's been times where they have they've opened it up a little bit, moved the fight. I don't think they're big explosive. I think I'm safe in saying they're not going to make a lot of explosives on you, but they can dime you down the field a little bit. I know the times I have seen them, Mertz really hadn't pushed the ball downfield a lot, and that's just a limited sample size of what I have viewed with my eyes, man, and hadn't read up much on them. But definitely a team that can beat you if you don't bring your A-plus game.
Yep.
And I think it's just like any other game, Clark. You got to make Graham Mertz throw the football to beat you.
Yeah.
You know, limit. Don't let them get balanced. Don't let them get some yards on the ground, man, and be able to have a lot of time of possession, man, and eat some clock up and slow down the game. Be able to stuff the run, man. And Mertz isn't going to be a guy that's going to beat you with his legs at all. No. I feel like he's got like negative rushing yards for the year, right? So this might be a game that you could really pin back, man, and put some pressure on them and see what happens.
Yep.
And it should be a game the defensive line eats, but I think it's just going to be important not to allow their running game to get going or anything. And you make them one-dimensional. Make them one-dimensional. Make Graham Mertz beat you with his arm. And if we get to that point, then, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Me too. They do have a kind of a running back tandem. You mentioned him, Trevor Etienne, brother of Travis.
Yeah.
Friend of the show.
Is he?
I guess.
No.
Hey, he plays down in Jacksonville, right?
Yeah, he plays.
He'll probably be there.
Yeah, I'm sure he would, maybe. Yeah.
And then
he might be on the road that week. He's not going to be there.
That's a good point. So Trevor, and then Montrell Johnson Jr., that's actually their leading rusher.
Right. That's right.
And, I mean, we'll get a healthy dose of them, and it's going to be big trying to limit those guys right there. You're right, though. Make them one-dimensional. Make them throw the football. Put it through there. But, yeah, that Ricky Pearsall guy. Pearsall, yeah. Their leading receiver, he has 44 receptions on the year, 619 yards. That beats Brock Bowers by about 100 or so yards, I believe.
Yeah, man. But I mean, I think he's a good talent, Clark, but I think he's the only guy they got in the receiving
Seems
room.
like it.
Seems like, hey, somebody might step up we never heard of.
Yeah, like Matt Jones in 2014.
But you never know. But for me, I think that, of course, that's Mertz's go-to guy. But I feel good about the guys we have in the secondary to step up and be able to lock him down. Put number 3 on him, baby. Put number 3 on him, and let's see what happens. So, yeah, I just think if our defense plays their A-plus game, man, I cannot wait to see the improvements this defense has on the front, especially with some of the struggles we've talked about and just getting to the bye week. And I think you'll see some stuff different in Jacksonville, maybe some different personnel, but definitely I think some much improved play on the front. Hey, I can't wait until they get Tyron Ingram's Dawkins back, man. I don't know if it will be in Florida or if it will be later on in the year, but that's going to be a key anchor on defensive tackle and that rotation, man. And I don't know. We'll see what happens on the outside linebacker position too, and just go from there. But I think I feel like it's going to be safe to say we're going to see something different out of the defense. And I think something different in a great way that's going to have kind of being like, oh, man, this. And then from here on out, we're going to see this defense making steps forward each and every week, man. And then I think at the end of the regular season, going into the postseason play, it'll be another elite Georgia defense, which they're 6th in total defense, man. That just shows how spoiled we are. But I think they're just going to continue to get better. I think we're going to see some more sacks in the second half of the year right now. And just overall, this defense continue just to grow.
What I'd really like to see some more turnovers.
Yeah.
Florida, I will say this, Florida has only 4 turnovers this season. Wow. 4. That's pretty impressive.
That's good, man.
And I think this is the kind of game you need a turnover to, not necessarily to win, but definitely to capture that momentum and keep you going through the entirety of the game.
I don't think you can turn the ball over like we did in Jacksonville last year and have a third quarter like we did last year in Jacksonville and expect to, you might still win it, but expect it to be, it's going to be, that's how you get beat by this Florida team, I feel like. I feel like this Florida team's good enough to beat you if we lose the turnover battle, man, and turnover margin again. So that's something on offense. We've got to protect the football. Hold on, not give them free possessions, not give them great field position, man, and not let them just hang around and start believing, you know. Because I guarantee you there's been a lot of people, Clark, in around Gainesville and around Ocala, right? Down there in Live Oak. Some of those guys down there that's been thinking and talking with some folks today, looking at ticket prices like, man, you know, if Georgia's number 1, what if we do it? And I think they've talked themselves into it. Let's go ahead and go. Let's go put on our blue and orange. Let's put on our visor, let's put on our jean shorts, and let's go get a tailgate set up there in Jacksonville. It's just an hour down the road, maybe. I mean, those old boys coming from Ocala, probably about an hour up the road, you know, saying, hey, we're going to go get us a parking spot. We're going to be there for history because we hate Georgia and we love beating Georgia. So they're going to be wanting to be there. Their fans are starting to feel a little bit more, I feel like, some of them, man. And, hey, we can't let that happen. We can't let that side of the stadium be feeling. I want to see it, Clark, in the fourth quarter when we hold up our fours and our lights. I don't want to see them over there when they're doing We Are the Boys, and, you know, you put an arm around somebody and they sway back and forth and do that stupid stuff. I want them to have to go from section 204 all the way to section 202 just to connect with somebody because all the fans have left the stadium because they're getting their tails whooped by 3 touchdowns at the beginning of the fourth quarter. That's what I want to see.
That's right. Screw them.
And the mule they rode in on.
That's right.
Hate them. That's what I want to see. I want them to spend money, go down there, have their belief up, man. You know what? Have their beliefs up, getting excited, being Mickey Mouse Gator fans. You say, if you want to believe in that stuff, you go 3 hours down the road, go to Orlando if you want to get that hyped up, man. If you want to be, you know, believe in fairy tales and all this stuff that's going to happen. Magic. Go 3 hours down the road, man. Go down to Disney or Universal if you want some of that stuff because that's not going to happen. It's not going to be a fairy tale in Jacksonville on Saturday.
That's it. Oh, man. You know, I was kind of hitting a lull there in the middle of the episode, but that got me juiced.
Dang right.
I'll go.
Juice,
you know what?
I mean, they're believing down there a little bit, I feel like, you know, and stuff can happen, man, but I don't want them ever to believe. We saw Swamp Kings before this started. We saw Swamp Kings. We know what that university is about. You look at the tradition and the history of the University of Georgia. That's Florida. It'll always be Florida. Yep. You do not go down to Jacksonville and not be amped to beat Florida. It does not matter. We do not like those guys, and they don't like us.
Yep.
And we own them.
We do right now, for sure.
We will continue.
Hopefully that doesn't change anytime soon.
Because we got a coach, and we have a coach in Butts-Mehre building who does not like the University of Florida either. That's important, man, because you want somebody who thinks like you do.
Right.
When they get down there and you see that stadium split, red and black and blue and orange, 50-50, you want that to get in their blood and their veins and just know we beat Florida. We're the University of Georgia, and we beat Florida. That's a priority every year.
Yes. And I think that's something interesting that you point out there is that Georgia has a guy right now at head coach who played in this rivalry, who understands it, and not just this rivalry, but others too. I mean, he hates Georgia Tech. Yeah. I heard him at practice one day. He said, and I quote, I hate these MFers talking about Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
You know, he hates these teams, and he understands how much it means to his team to win them and to his fan base and to his culture.
That's right.
He gets it.
That's right.
But on the other side of the ball, you can't really say that about Florida. The last time they had correct me if I'm wrong here, the last time they had a guy who played there and then became head coach was Steve Spurrier.
And you saw what he did in Georgia because he hated Georgia. So he made that, and that's what Kirby is doing. Flip it. Kirby was a player in 95 when Spurrier said, hey, has anybody scored 50 in Sanford Stadium when they had the renovations, when the Jaguars came to Jacksonville, Clark? He said, has anybody scored 50 in Sanford Stadium? He said, we're going to do that today. And they did. They did. They went and they did it. They went and they did it. So you know what Kirby's going to do in a couple of years when construction happens and we go down the swamp and Gainesville? I'm going to be there, good Lord willing. Kirby's going to put 50 on them. So that's what I'm talking about, man. There is not any love lost on either side, man. And while they are down, while they are, they should stay there because that is rightfully, besides the decade of the 90s and the couple years of Tebow and all that trash that happened in Gainesville, their place in the history book is where they're at now, and that's where it should be. They're an inferior program. They always will be an inferior program, and you know, it's time to let that be known and give them another yearly reminder of that in Jacksonville because what has turned and where this series is now is where the good Lord intended for this series to be, Clark.
Yeah.
And that's for that Okefenokee ore to be in Athens, Georgia.
That's right. I forget about that a lot of times. The fact that there is a trophy to this. You just got to remember.
I mean, people are quick to forget, man. Don't forget the Spurrier era. Don't forget even losing to Ron Zook. Don't forget the Urban Meyer. Don't forget those timeouts called at the end of the 2008 game. Don't forget Brandon Spike. I don't care.
We may have deserved that.
Well, it's okay, whatever. But you still don't forget it. You don't forget those times and the feeling of that. You don't forget the feeling of that because Saturday when Georgia's rolling, and I'm just going to put on red and black glasses.
Go ahead. Why not?
They're going to roll. You remember those days. You soak it up, baby. You bottle it up.
Yep. Absorb it like a sponge.
Like a sponge, baby.
Oh, man.
All right. Callie's getting fired up.
Callie, yeah, she's making some crowd noise.
Like Florida.
No. She's 1-0 against the Gators.
Oh, she's never seen Georgia lose to Florida. She's actually never seen Georgia lose a football game in her life. She's 14 months old.
That's amazing. Oh, man. All right, this week's pick'em. Other than Georgia, Florida, we got some good games, and then after this, we'll do a good score prediction here.
All right.
South Carolina at A&M, 12 o'clock, ESPN.
Oh, man. Some disgruntlement probably on both sides of this fan base,
sure.
I would say. Beamer popped them last year, didn't he?
He did at home. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Who you going with?
Oh, God.
College Station.
I don't like either of these teams. I don't like either of their head coaches. I don't have a problem with A&M fans. I shouldn't say that. I'm going to go with, they are Colt. Go with, man, A&M, I guess.
Yeah, I'm going with A&M.
I don't know. By
just because they're the home team.
7 points.
They're the home team.
I don't know.
Yeah, I cannot wait. Beamer, I hope for a South Carolina loss just because it's getting more and more entertaining each week to hear Shane Beamer's comments.
His excuses, they're absurd.
It's crazy. It makes me more and more thankful for the head man that we have in Athens and the representation. When you hear Heupel talking after what he was talking about, and you hear Beamer, and you hear like Dabo, and all these coaches you could listen rattle off, just sit there and close your eyes. And can you ever imagine Kirby Smart saying anything like that?
No.
Heck no, you can't.
And if he does, then I'm going to lose a lot of respect for the guy.
Dang right. But he don't, because we're built different in Athens. That program and those boys and that coaching staff, it is built different. We are fans of a team and a culture and a program that does it the right way. And it's just built different than the people we're talking about.
Hashtag built different.
And that's why that is why there's a lot of rings collecting dust in Buttsmere building right now.
Yep.
And trophies.
BYU at Texas. I really don't know why I picked this game.
Yeah, Clark,
3:30 ABC.
One.
Yeah. You know how I pick these games sometimes? Is ESPN has this cool thing where you can buy, it has a link to buy tickets, and it will say tickets start at, $54. But I always kind of pick the ones that are up in the hundreds or even the high, like 90,
the
80.
demand of the nation.
Right.
Yeah.
Typically if they're in the hundreds, that's a game I pick all the time. If it's in the 90s, 80s, sometimes. I think that was one of those. BYU at Texas, 3:30 ABC. I have not watched a singular snap of BYU football.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm going with Texas. I think they're going to bounce back, kind of get back in the frame after a debacle against Houston that they came away unscathed, and kind of knowing that, hey, our sights are still set in front of us. They're bidding for that rematch in the Big 12 championship against Oklahoma. So I think they'll dial in for this one.
Yeah, me too. I don't even know what BYU's record is. I don't even know their head coach.
Yeah.
Do you know BYU's head coach?
I want to say he's Samoan descent.
Polynesian for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know.
Because I've seen him with a lei on,
Yeah. And I wonder, do you have to be of the Mormon religion to be the head coach at BYU? Or do you have to be a Catholic to be the head coach at Notre Dame? I don't think so. But, that's something to think about.
That is interesting. I've never thought about that.
I don't think so. I don't think they I don't think they do that.
Fun fact about BYU though. They do have a campus in Hawaii. So maybe there's some sort of correlation with that being I don't know.
Who knows, man?
There's a big
Brigham Young
Mormon
University, man.
Yeah, there's a big Mormon contingent in Hawaii.
Yeah. Really?
It's kind of interesting. Big Catholic contingent too. Anyway. Oregon at Utah, 3:30, Fox. This ought to be an interesting game.
Yeah, man. Dan Lannon, just a great American.
Yeah, he is.
Just a great
He really is. And Utah's coach, I always forget his name.
Kyle Whittingham. He's another good American.
Yeah,
he is a great American. I have a lot of respect for Kyle Whittingham and the job he does with the physical defensive football that is played by the Utah Utes year in and year out since he took over for Urban Meyer in 2005, Clark, excuse me.
Has he been there that long?
Yeah, he's been there since Urban, man. He was Urban's D coordinator at Utah in 2004 when they ran the table that year. So, yeah, I mean, he's definitely just sustained a great program at Utah. But give me Oregon in this game, Clark. I think going at Utah, that's tough. That's a tough game. But I still think that Oregon, even though facing a tough Utah defense, will put up enough points to win. And they're still Utah without Cam Rising, I think, is not going to be able to hold up to the firepower that the Oregon offense will have. Give me the Ducks winning a very, very tight game by about 10 points.
Okay.
About 10, Clark. Maybe pulling away, getting a late touchdown with about 3 minutes and 10 seconds left in the football game to make it a 10-point game and win it.
I'm with you. Oregon's going to win this game. Dan Lanning and company, their backs are kind of against the wall. They understand, though. If they went out and maybe become Pac-12 champions with one loss, I mean, I'm sure they could probably find a way into the playoffs.
Yeah, if they have Washington again, man, you can avenge that. And USC, they're off the table now. Love that.
Yeah. So give me Oregon in a tight game there. Where's Utah located? What's their
Salt Lake City.
Is it Salt Lake?
Yes, sir.
Interesting. All right, Duke at Louisville. ACC matchup here, 3:30 ESPN. Louisville is ranked like 18th, Adam.
Yeah, they were perfect for a while there, and then they got popped a week or two ago, I remember. But Duke, both teams, second-year head coach and Mike Elko at Duke's been good. Jeff Brom going back to his alma mater at Louisville, having a great first year at Louisville, man. So both fan bases are fired up about where the trajectory of both programs are right now, Clark. But give me Duke winning on the road against Louisville, man. Even after a tough loss in Tallahassee last week.
Ooh, I don't know
that.
They
find it. Oh, you think Louisville might?
I think Louisville's going to get them.
True. Okay,
it's going to turn into a night game. Louisville Stadium. Is it Papa John Stadium?
Yeah, Papa John Stadium.
It can get a little lively at night.
Okay, all right. Okay,
I think. I don't know. I've never been, but it looks like it's fine on TV.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, give me Louisville. Why not? Couldn't even name their quarterback. I don't know why I act like I know everything about these teams, and I don't know why I think I have enough knowledge to actually pick these teams and have a good educational reasoning. So anyway,
just pick a narrative and run.
Yeah, I might need to start picking on mascots or something.
That's right.
Tennessee at Kentucky.
Now,
this one I do know.
That's right.
Yes. 7 o'clock ESPN.
In Kentucky.
At Kentucky. Kroger Field.
Yeah.
Adam, this is a fun matchup.
Yeah. Kentucky had a bye last week, didn't they?
I think so, yeah.
They really had to regroup.
They did.
The 2 weeks before their bye, of course, the debacle they had in Athens against Georgia, and then Eli Drinkwitz just came in there and just sucker punched them in Lexington at night.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's tough. When you get sucker punched by Eli Drinkwitz and kind of embarrassed by Eli Drinkwitz, Clark, do you ever fully recover from that?
I don't know if you can. No, I really don't
I don't think you can. So, therefore, I'm picking Tennessee.
Okay. Yeah, I want to go with Tennessee as well. Tennessee's still a good football team. They showed it in that first half against Alabama. Kentucky's defense will keep them in this game for a while. It's going to be a physical game. These teams hate each other. I mean, I don't think people understand how badly Tennessee fans hate Kentucky and vice versa. But, give me Tennessee, but not by much. Probably about 6 points or something.
I like it.
And then last but not least, Adam, I said this may be a game to watch out for in the preseason. Yeah. Ohio State at Wisconsin, 7:30 NBC.
Are you really going to do it? Luke Fickle in year one? I mean, just not really.
I don't think
impressive.
Wisconsin has done anything this season. They have not shown me any signs
they're
of
building
life.
A program.
Yeah,
they're building a program.
Yeah.
They're trying to reimagine themselves.
Right. It's year 0 with Luke Fickle in Wisconsin. I was hoping maybe they could show me that they've got it in them to upset Ohio State.
That you saw some progression.
Right.
And then we've gotten to this point in the season.
Yeah, maybe they're like
it's like they're ready to pop somebody.
Yeah, so like ranked 23rd. Like they're kind of on the fringe of upsetting a big team, but I don't see it happening. Ohio State's going to roll. I do too. I
think so too. I mean, Madison and Camp Randall is a tough place to play, Clark, and they'll be up for it night game, man. Give me Ohio State winning that game.
I like it. All right. Well, that's kind of the end of the show. But we do have a score prediction, so stick around for a second. But, hey, if you have enjoyed this episode, please give us a like on the socials. Follow us. That would help. Catch up with us.
Yeah,
message us. Let us know if you're coming down. Let us know
how you feel about the Georgia-Florida game and the games we're about to see, baby, because it is time to wrap it up. A lot of tough football to be played here in the next month and a half. This is where you separate your pretenders from your contenders, baby. So this is where it's real. That we're getting closer and closer to, hey, I mean, after this week, you'll have your first college football playoff rankings by the committee.
We're here.
So, hey, tell us where you think Georgia's going to be at. Where's the committee going to put Georgia? I mean, a lot of probably interesting ways you could go for it. I hadn't even thought about that, man. So, I mean, you never know what those human eyes are going to say, man. But like I said, we've had computers put us where we're supposed to be at right now, man. But we'll see what the humans think after this Florida game. So it's getting real. The race for 3 is still right in front of us. I think this is a point, Clark. If you're ever going to see a team have 3 in a row in the modern era, this is going to be the chance to do it, man. And I want Georgia to put their hat on that, man. So, and stake their flag on that, baby, because you're not going to see it. The parity in college football we're seeing, it's just going to get more and more parity. And, I mean, as a fan of a dominant team, you don't like seeing it. But for the overall health of the game, I think it is actually good what the portal is doing and NIL and all this stuff because you've seen the parity now. But, hey, Georgia is still climbing that mountaintop right now, baby. And we're not there yet. Down anytime soon. So,
Well, hey, if you are watching on YouTube, last thing, make sure to subscribe to our channel. It will help us out greatly.
Yeah.
All right, Adam, score prediction this week. Here we go. Georgia versus Florida. Never Florida versus Georgia.
No.
Georgia versus Florida. I think we should come to an agreement. Like we should sign something that says the winner of the game, that's who gets the official tie. Like that's who gets to put their name in front of the other.
Yeah.
So if Florida wins, okay, we won't call it Georgia, Florida ever. But I'm saying like the media.
Right,
the media.
right,
because
right,
the media
right.
refers to it as Florida, Georgia, just because it's in alphabetical order. Anyway, all that to say, world's largest outdoor cocktail party. It's going to be a great time. We hope to see you down there. I'm going to give you my score prediction, Adam. You give me yours.
Yeah.
I'm liking the Dogs fairly big in this game. A pretty good cushion, all right? 34-18. I'll take that every day of the week. I don't care if it's 34-33. I don't care if it's 3-2 or 3-0.
Yeah.
I just want a W.
That's right.
So,
That's right. That's right.
What say you?
Clark, well, growing up in the state of Georgia, man, kids raised in the state of Georgia when they were young, they were adolescents, right? When they were adolescents, you know, you had bedtime stories, right?
Yeah.
You had Bible stories. You had Moses parting the Red Sea, Clark. You had David and Goliath, right? And then you went to your fables, your Jack and the Beanstalk, right? So you have that, your Humpty Dumptys, right? And then what was unique to the state of Georgia as well, you had what happened down in Jacksonville in 1980. You had what happened in Jacksonville in 1985. You listen to those Larry Munson calls when Tim Worley ran wild, when Lindsey Scott took it back, when Richard Appleby hit Washington, Washington hit Appleby, baby. You remember those games, and they were just instilled in you, Clark, injected in you, that you knew from a young age as a Georgia fan, you don't like Florida. And every single last Saturday in October, or some years first Saturday in November, are sacred when you go down to Jacksonville. And on the St. Johns River, you feel that breeze coming in, baby, that you know this is season-defining football games at their best right there.
Yep.
Georgia owns Florida, Clark. Now we can say that. And then it feels good to say. It feels good to say because of the overall record and what it's been here lately. We're back on top of this rivalry, and that is where Georgia's going to stay, Clark. Successful seasons, your success, and where it's defined at when you look back at the end of the season, a big thing is beating the Florida Gators, man, and I don't think it's going to be any different this Saturday. Everybody, wear your red and black every week. It is the best week of the year, Christmas time for Georgia football fans. It is Georgia-Florida week. Woo. Tell your Florida fans what's coming, baby. That we're coming down the track, and either to get off the tracks or get run over, baby. Georgia's going to win this football game. Come out, slinging the ball, different guys setting up, about 7 8 different people touch the football.
Oh, okay.
7 or 8 different people touch the football. Playmakers, legends will be made, baby. And it's going to be a fun night smoking a cigar outside of Jacksonville Municipal Stadium, whatever they call it, TIAA Bankfield, Alltel Stadium. I don't know what rendition we're on. On the sponsor, Everbank Stadium, one of the ones I didn't name. We've gone through the whole 2000s of what that stadium's been named. Whatever it is, it's going to be sweet being outside smoking a cigar, seeing another Georgia Bulldog victory on the way to a three-peat, baby. Leaving Jacksonville undefeated, 8-0. Best of times, baby. 41-17, Georgia on top.
Nice.
Go Dogs,
Go Dogs.
baby.
Ooh, 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 ooh.